Okay, hey, how you guys doing out there? My name's Ken Meyer. I'm an illustrator, and I thought I'd do a little video here. Sorry, turn the music down a little bit. A little video showing a combination of media that I'm going to do. First, you can see this drawing here. I don't know if you can see the actual drawing. It's pretty light, but I'm going to ink this with an India ink. It's on a relatively smooth illustration board, and then after I'm done with the inking, I'm going to use charcoal on top of that, and then I'm going to cover it with a transparent gesso so that I can then paint on it, probably with more ink, FW ink, colored inks, and see how the whole process turns out. So first I'm going to start applying some ink, and it's going to be relatively loose. I'll do a little bit of it, then I'll stop the recording so you don't have to sit through the whole thing, and then I'll show the next step. So I'm trying to mainly use the ink to get the darkest areas, and this is actually, I'm probably doing a few areas that I might not, maybe I shouldn't be doing because they're not quite um, dark enough, but it's just an experiment, so I'm not too worried about that. I'll probably get a bigger brush in a minute and do some of these larger areas little bit faster. It's sort of a general rule to use the biggest brush that you can, um, rather than spend a lot of time noodling around and filling in areas, sort of like I'm doing now, but I'll switch to a bigger brush in a few minutes. Alright, I'm going to switch to a bigger brush to do some of these larger areas up top here. And I like to try and end up having it be as loose as possible. I mean, I tend to sort of want to be careful and exact and relatively tight, but I'd rather this be more loose and more full of life, I guess, the best way to describe it. You know, showing that a human hand did it and it's not perfect. Or at least not perfect in the way a lot of people would think of as perfection. It's really nice controlled strokes and everything. And I'm hoping that some of this loose stuff will end up showing through in the final piece. I mean, the loose stuff that I'm trying to do here, and the other loose work that I hope to do when I'm doing the charcoal and the various stages of the whole thing. And if it seems like some of the edges are kind of harder than they need to be, remember that I'm going to be going back in with charcoal, so I'll be darkening up a lot of areas and adding some soft gradations, that sort of thing. Forgot to draw the hand there. I guess I'll just go ahead and do that without any underdrawing. It's her other hand is right here. And I erased it at one point to move it and forgot to draw it back in, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it with ink and hope that it works out. I think I'll use the smaller brush for the hand here. And I'm not going to outline it. I'll wait and do that with, if I do it at all, with some color around it rather than make a line around it. And hopefully I can leave some of this dry brush type thing, these dry brush kind of marks here to a large degree, and we'll see how much of it survives through the final process. Okay, maybe I'll do some of these other areas with a little tone of the ink, just a little. I'm probably cheating a tiny bit by doing this. Well, I guess there's no such thing as cheating in this, but as far as the way I wanted to do the technique, I think I'm cheating a tiny bit. Okay, I think I'm going to stop with the ink, except I think I'm going to put a dark area around the side of the body here, which is very, very light. And I gotta hold my arm off the surface here because there's some wet stuff down at the bottom I don't want to mess up. Okay, I think I'm done with the ink part. I'm going to turn the camera off and then come back on in a few minutes when it's dry and start applying the charcoal.